All hail the Knights of the Gimmick table, where we spit the truth at the infamous round table and your feelings get left at the door. I am Boogaloo, this is LowRyda, and we are the Dead Presidents. Welcome.
What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in. First things first, shout out to Cicadas for that awesome theme on our intro video.
Shout out to Charles Redmond for putting that video together.
Definitely. I want to give a shout out to healthvape.com. Health Vape sells healthy vaping alternatives.
Yeah.
All their products have no nicotine, no harmful or addictive chemicals, and they are vitamin infused. So make sure you pick yourself up some of their vape and pod products using our code MWAPOD for a 10% discount.
All right. Like it. Oh, sleeves.com. Yes, sleeves. If you or anybody in your family is an athlete, then you want to hook them up with some sleeves. They have armbands, wristbands, headbands, compression shorts, compression pants, compression shirts,
Dick bands.
Dick bands. Yeah, 30 boxers. They even have 30 boxers. Yeah, you can put those. I like those 30 boxers with the elephant trunk. I think Angel has elephant trunk boxers too, and he runs around sword fighting Glenn sometimes when they be hanging out. But yeah, if you or anybody you know is an athlete,
pick yourself
some
up some sleeves.
Yeah, and use our code MWAPOD for your 10% discount.
All right, guys. Well,
without further ado, let's introduce our guests.
This man here, we got to experience some great stuff with on the road. Scottie Matthews. What's up, brother?
What's going on, fellas?
What you been up to, man?
Just, I'm in the gym business now, so most of my time is spent on that. Sundays I mow the grass.
For a living?
No.
You're a man of many hats.
Well, I moved up from living in a car, so I got a front and
we'll get to that.
A front and a backyard, so
we'll get to living in the car.
You know what, man? Scottie is one of the true OGs that fucking was grinding, that I knew, that was grinding to fucking make it in this fucking business that everybody, takes for fucking. A lot of these motherfuckers nowadays take it for granted, because they're just getting shit handed to them.
Yeah.
And man, Scottie was out there. I remember when you told us how you would go shower at the gym, go do, and that's the way a lot of people told us. But you were one of the only motherfuckers I knew that actually was living that life,
He would park his car in between two school buses. I remember him telling me that story. Parking between two school buses, sleep, hit the gym in the morning, hit the shower, and start his day.
Yeah, man.
Real deal, man. Real deal. Hey, Scott. So come on, let's get this started. Let's let the people, because this podcast, we have a lot of followers from Australia who may not be familiar with you, and then United States also. Tell us how'd you get where you from originally?
So I grew up in Washington State, up on the Olympic Peninsula, about probably if you take a boat, it's about 30 minutes from Canada. I could literally see Canada from where I live. So right up there on the coast. Grew up there. That's where I fell in love with wrestling. And actually, the funny thing about it is the first time I ever watched wrestling, I used to have, and here's the thing too, I'm gonna tell my age, because I was so old that when Texas Instrument used to have that little black computer you get from Radio Shack, I used to have one of those. You plug it into a little black and white TV, and it had a cassette deck disc drive instead of an actual full-blown hard drive or anything like that. And so I used to unplug it and watch old NWA stuff back in the day. And even though I was pretty much right on the in between the Stampede territory and the Portland territory. So that was on all the TV shows and stuff like that. So I grew up on that type of wrestling. And then obviously, when WWE popped off, ended up, kind of gravitating towards that. But definitely been a long time fan of that NWA style, which helped me out because when I actually got my start in wrestling, it was, down here in the South. But so, you know, when I graduated high school, I joined the Army. Spent about 9 years in the Army. My last year in the Army is actually when I started training. And just
Where did you start training at?
so I started training in Fayetteville. There's a school.
Who'd you train under?
So there was a guy named Timber the Lumberjack, and he had a tag team partner named Slash Walker. And I started out at their school and, you know, learned the basics.
What year was that, Scottie?
2000.
Okay.
So learned the basics, started doing shows, and a guy named Shank, Toad, and Lodi were coming down to the school to get this guy Shank ready for a dark match. And at the time, you talk about that grind, me and one of the guys I broke in with, we were actually living at the building. We lived upstairs. It was like one of those old metal buildings, and had like no insulation, big bay doors, stuff like that. But there was a room upstairs above the ring, so we used to, you know, crash up there. And but they were coming in and using the school after hours, and so we started just getting in the ring and just working with them. And from that, they got us booked for a company called SCW, Southern Championship Wrestling, based out of Raleigh. You know, it was like one of those promotions that I'm sure you guys have heard of Omega. They did a lot of stuff like side by side Omega. And in fact, when WCW shut down, Shane Helms came back, Shannon Moore, they all came back, started doing shows again. But what ended up happening is they got us booked for SCW, and CW Anderson saw us. And so he watched our match. We talked to him afterwards, and then he found out what they were doing. So he started coming down to the school and working with us too. And ended up being where one of the guys that ran the school, his son was young, you know, he's maybe like 17, 18 years old, but he said something slick to CW one day while we were training. And Toad, you guys might remember him. He was with PG-13 for a minute with WCW. They called him Frog. And then he did the 1-800 Wrestle Slam tours. But anyway,
I just remember Wolfie D and JC Ice.
Yeah, so he ran. He was like their third every now and then. Wasn't in a contract, but just, you know, he was one of those guys that they brought in and out. But, you know, had a good relationship with those guys. But anyway, so the kid popped off at CW, and Toad looked at him from the outside the ring and goes, "You should probably shut your mouth. You learned more in the past 2 hours than you have in the past 6 months since you've been here." Right? And of course, you know, the guys that ran the school, they got butt hurt or whatever, but CW kept working with us. And then they started, they felt like they were going to lose us. So they started playing games, and, you know, we had egos and we had attitudes and all that stuff. But I mean, you're talking about the two guys that were living at the school, that were in the ring when nobody else was there. I mean, and at the time, like, everything that we had been taught was the last thing you want to come across is having attitude or ego.
Right.
So you know, I mean, we were living it. We were, you know, blood, sweat, and tears, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And you know, they called it suspending us. So they basically suspended us from the school, and we had a conversation with CW, and CW took us to this spot in Newton Grove where he trained guys like Chili Willie, Lodi, and Pat Cusick.
CW trained Lodi?
Yeah.
Oh, shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so CW was trying to get in shape, and at the time, Lodi was living in Greenville, and he was mainly just doing personal training stuff. And so they traded personal training for wrestling training.
That's awesome.
But so anyways, we ended up making the switch and finishing up with CW. And the cool thing about it was we were already doing shows, and traveling, but we were working down at Wildside. Like we work at Wildside on Saturday night down in Georgia, and literally drive through Fayetteville just to get the practice on Sunday, because that was the one rule. I don't care where you wrestle Friday and Saturday, but you better be at practice on Sunday. So, we definitely got the upper hand there working with CW, just because, again, his technique, his tactics, psychology. I mean, you're not going to find, too many guys that have it put together like him.
Good dude, man. C-Dub. Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much the break-in. The funny thing about like my first actual match was for Steve Carino's dad for this Universal Championship Wrestling. It was at an armory in Rayford, probably like 20 miles from here.
The Carinos ran that Fed, right?
Yeah. His dad ran it, but then Steve actually was running something similar just prior to getting signed with ECW. And his dad just kind of took it over, and they kind of morphed it into UCW from there.
Okay. Sweet. But you didn't mention your upbringing and stuff, but you didn't mention, and I'm gonna mention it, that you were adopted, right?
Yeah.
You grew up. Yeah.
So yeah, I was adopted. When I was 3 years old. By the time I was 16, I was back in a foster home. My adopted parents split up, and it was a weird situation. So my adopted mom had remarried, and her and her husband were just kind of like, yeah, you're a young man, you'll be all right on your own. So I went into foster care.
So
I mean, there's a lot more to the story, but
that's crazy. They raised you from the time you're 2 to 16, and they're like, "Hey, man."
Well, again, understand, just give you a little backstory. So my actual adopted dad, he was I guess the best way to put it, he was an adrenaline guy. I mean, he loved hunting, shooting guns, motorcycle riding, all that stuff, and he liked other women. And so in that relationship, I kind of turned into, I guess the best way to put it, a punching bag for him. And then when they split up, he married his girlfriend. My adopted mom married his best friend. And it was weird because, he came in, knight in shining armor, like, I'll take care of you, and him and I just never saw eye to eye. But again, going back and looking at, I mean, the only thing I could come up with was that, other than just trying to be a kid and do stuff kids do, I didn't get a lot of trouble. Yeah. I mean, I did it, I made a few bad choices, but nothing like just out of this world, like mind blowing stuff.
Yeah.
But just, I think the biggest thing for him was that his opinion of me came from his relationship with my adopted dad. And the only thing that changed was his feelings for my adopted mom. So, I guess the best way to put it, her and I got in an argument, and I stormed off, slammed my door. He came home, looked at her, said, him or me? She was like, I don't want to die a lonely old lady. You'll be all right. You're still young. So the good thing about it is I had some, pretty good friends in school, and, a friend from school, talked to their parents. I went and stayed with them and finished up high school.
That's crazy.
But
that's crazy.
Yeah, that's a hell of a fucking situation to be in.
Scott, as long as I've known you there's always obstacles. There was always obstacles in your way, and to see how you overcome them, that's why when I first talked to you earlier, I was like, oh shit, went from sleeping to your car to having a 2-story house. I was like, this is awesome. It's like, congratulations, man. That's fucking great.
I mean, I think when it comes to stuff like that, though, like I wouldn't change anything. Everything I've been through, there's somebody that's been through something twice as hard.
Right.
There's people that haven't even had half the opportunities I've had, and so I wouldn't change any of it because I don't think I'd be sitting where I am right now if that was the case.
Right. I always tell my son that. I always say, "Hey, man, you're upset. You think your life is rough." I said, "There's always somebody that has it rougher than you. There's always somebody out there that has it worse off than you. So, it's not that bad."
The biggest thing too is that when you're facing different situations, right? You can look at it like it's the end of the road, or you can look on the other side of it. Like,
Right.
Sometimes you got to like get up, brush yourself off, make sure that there's no blood or anything.
Yeah.
But still, just having that internal drive. And, again, I honestly, it took me years to figure it out, but understanding where my strength comes from. And it's not man-made, that's for sure. I can tell you that.
So let's get back into wrestling now. So tell us about your first gimmick.
So my first gimmick, the guys that ran the school, they decided that because at the time, all you saw on TV was monsters, right?
Now let me ask you. Back when you first started training, were you jacked the way you were when I first met you around that time, or you built yourself up to be that way?
No, I was in better. I was bigger. So when you met me, I was in better. I was probably in.
No, when we met you, you looked like an action figure. But I heard
you were fucking. I heard you were legit like superhero looking.
I heard you were big.
I was about 280, and all I did was lift and eat and train. And so I was. But the funny thing about it is when I first got the call from TNA, they told me that I needed to lean out a little bit, and that's when I really got on the grind and started kind of like, instead of just trying to be that big guy, because like I said, when I was trained, they said, hey, the only way you're going to get signed is if you're a monster,
Right.
So it was like, how big can I get, and then learning more about the business. And, we talked about Sonny a little bit offline, but Sonny's actually the one that talked to Vince Russo and showed him my gimmick picks and stuff like that. And I thought he was playing, right? And he's like, yeah, man, I'm take a pic, tell him about you, blah, blah, blah. And, you hear that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And again, not wanting to be that guy that just got the hand out or the hookup or whatever. I just kind of like, hey, I appreciate it, whatever. I didn't put no mind to it.
Yeah.
But then a couple weeks later, my phone rings. It's like, hey, they gave me a date and they said, can you drop, X amount of weight by this date? Need you to lean out a little bit. So sure enough, made it happen.
So how'd you prepare to lean out like that? Because how much time did you have to lean out?
So I had about 3 months.
Okay.
But the one thing I wasn't doing, like I was lifting and eating. I wasn't doing extra cardio. Obviously the cardio I got was like in practice, and we were training like 3 times a week, and
right.
Show on the weekend or whatever. But I really put a focus on cardio. I changed my diet a little bit. Started eating, more of the health food, so to speak.
Yeah.
But that was really it. Just diet, nutrition, and a little bit of cardio.
All right. So, but let's talk about this first gimmick, man.
So the character name was Malachi. And so they actually put it on me, right, at the school. And the concept was, I guess, one of the characters from the movie Children of the Corn.
Children of the Corn, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. The original Children of the Corn.
So that's where that came from. And so, and I really didn't get it. It didn't make sense to me because like nothing about that. It was just a name.
Did you ever see the character that they named?
No, because I thought it was so ridiculous. I'm like, I'm just going to run with the name. And, I was big enough at the time that,
Yeah, the dude was a redhead. It was a redheaded kid, but he was scrawny. Like, I think he actually played Chevy Chase. He might have played Chevy Chase's son in one of the Lampoon Vacations. He was Rusty. I think he was Rusty in one of the Lampoon Vacations, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it was a redheaded, dorky-looking kid.
Yeah, and I think where they came up with the name just because it sounded like a cool name, and it was from a horror movie. So like, oh, this will get over. And so it was kind of up to me to figure out how to put it all together. So I wore with a face paint for a while. And the way I came up with the face paint is I was watching, I don't know if it was MTV, but the band Mudvayne was on. I don't know if you remember those guys. I mean, so they had that song that came out, Dig, and something about that song. Like, so I kind of drew that song and the face paint and that whole kind of like gutter aspect. And that's what I kind of ran with, is that character.
All right.
So that's where the first character came from. And obviously they didn't want to spell it like anybody else spelled it. So they changed the spelling, put a K instead of a CH, and nobody ever said it right. It was like Malaki, and just it was a nightmare. Thank God for Ricky Morton. Ricky Morton.
Yeah, bro, I'm listening to you. Ricky Morton, what? So
Ricky Morton did a show with Ricky Morton one time, and of course had the face paint on, all that stuff, and we interacted during the match. I think we ended up getting involved in a battle royal or whatever. But he told me, he said, "Kid, look, you could sell out a building." He's like, but just be yourself. You don't have to be some comic book character just because that's what they're doing on TV. Just be yourself. Yeah. And so I legit took it to heart, and like, I'll just be myself. So that's where Scottie Matthews came from. And the funny thing about it is over the years, the number of people like, "Where'd you get Matthews from?" And I was like, "That's my real name." What about Scottie? It's my real name. And then
why would you choose your real name? Some dumb shit.
Well, again, like I said, Ricky Morton looked at me square in the eyes and said, "Be yourself." And I said, "That, you know what? For me, that made the most sense."
No, why not, man?
So that's where the transformation kind of took place, and right about that time was where it really started clicking for me, because I started being more relaxed and just got comfortable with it.
All right. Yeah, so I know when you were Malachi, that's when you bumped in with Bounty Hunter, right?
Yeah, so
you started working Bounty Hunter.
Yeah, so the funny thing about that was, I remember the first night I met him, and we were booked. We were supposed to work with each other, and the protocol. Yeah. You dap it up, introduce yourself to all the boys and all that stuff, and probably like 30, 45 minutes. Shows matches in the ring, whatever. I'm getting dressed. He's walking around like looking for me, right? Hey man, you know who Malachi is, right? And I'd already introduced myself to him and everything, but I introduced myself as my real name. But that was one of the things that CW had told us, like, you don't have to be, you're not your character in the locker room. Yeah. So I introduced myself as Scott, and so by the time he made it back to me, he was like, he's a little bit hot. Like, bro, why don't you just tell me you were the guy I'm working with tonight? I'm like, I thought you knew. And he's like, well, you told me your name was Scott. I'm like, yeah, I know, but that's just how I was trained.
That's young, being young in the business.
Yeah. But we hit it off like almost instantly. I don't remember anything about that match, but I mean, that was pretty much like that match or that night kind of just put us together. And, again, in my time or troubled times or whatever, he always opened his door to me, always made sure that I was good. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, he's probably, he'll be a brother till I die for sure.
Oh, definitely.
He said pretty much from that day forward, y'all ended up working
everywhere,
regularly, all over the damn
place. And I mean, I've been on a lot of shows where that match was the main event: Scottie Matthews versus Bounty Hunter.
And the thing about it was, I think because we hit it off so well, and we were both, in good shape, mm-hmm. and what we brought. It might not have been the smartest match or the best psychology. Again,
hidden though.
Like, and that was the thing.
Right.
And that's we sat down and talked. Like, look, tit for tat. You bring it, I bring it. And so we always had that mutual respect for each other. And then that friendship that came from it. Like, I mean, I feel like you put us on any card in North Carolina, even today, if we were both still working, I feel like we would hold our own. So
definitely, I enjoy those matches. Those matches were good fucking matches.
But again, I'm fortunate enough to met a guy like him along with a ton of other people along the way that I could just really just lack of better words, just sink my teeth into. I mean, just looking at some of the stuff we did to each other, like and then looking at people around us, like, man, if this was those two guys, they'd be fighting for real.
Yeah. A lot of people would feel, they're trying to take advantage, blah blah blah. But y'all knew what it was, y'all would go in there, y'all did your fucking match, you finished it up, and right back to the crib and hung out, right?
For sure. We did a
gotta eat Kim's cooking.
Oh yeah, we did a pull apart one time, and we talked about it before we even got to the building. Like, and I told him, I said, so I'm gonna walk in, I'm gonna be cussing you, I mean, like, legit in the locker room, like, where's Bounty Hunter at? Like, made it out like he said something disrespectful to somebody about me or whatever, or told some of my business, about my situation and all that stuff. I mean, and so by the time we got to the ring, right, and we did the pull apart, they cleared the locker room. And that's how we knew who liked him and who liked me, because, I mean, legit, we had guys like literally taking shots at us. Like, guys that had, like, guys were trying to bang him out. I'm on the other side of the ring. I'm getting it. I mean, it was.
Damn.
But here's the thing. If we'd have just walked in there, all right, we're going to do this big pull apart and,
then you get motherfuckers like, oh, hey, yeah. It doesn't look legit.
But we had them, like, literally, we pulled the promoter aside and said, look, at some point before this happens, like, make it visual in front of everybody in the locker room that, hey, I need you guys to be professional out there. I know you guys are having a situation right now, but when you go out there.
Promoter was in on it?
Yeah, he wasn't in on it until like after we tried to set it off in the locker room, right?
Yeah.
And that's when he kind of got in. And so I just kind of pulled him aside real quick, right? And said, hey, look, we're just playing. We're working, right? But we want this to look real by the time we get to the ring. So we smartened him up and told him, hey, look, you need to have hey, make it front and center in the locker room. Hey, look, I know you guys have this match tonight. You guys have issues. I need you guys to be professional, right? That's all I'm asking. You guys just go out there and be professional. And so, like I said, and the funny thing about it was we were working him because he was the one that said, hey, look, you're going to do a pull apart and then set up your match. Like, let's make it mean something.
Right.
And so, again, it was just funny to see, like, the cats that smile on your face, shake your hand. But these were the dudes, like, throwing real shots. Like,
you want to put anybody on blast?
Yeah. Nah. I mean, it was so long ago, man. Like, I can't even remember half the guys. And like I said, it really just came down to wanting to, like, believing in the product that you're putting in the ring. I mean, it was our responsibility to make everybody believe what was going on. Yeah. And the only way it would have worked is if the boys in the back weren't smart on it. So,
all right. So you went through the North Carolina Independence. Now, how did you make your way up to the Northeast? And
so
where'd you go from there? I mean, like the Northeast. What was your first promotion you worked in the Northeast, and how'd you go about getting up to the Northeast?
So, the girl I was dating at the time, she got a job up there, and so moved up there. And we were actually staying in Port Jervis, New York, right there in the tri-state. And I had met Robbie and Damien
Oh, fucking
Talking about Rob Echoes.
Rob Echoes.
Yeah, Rob Echoes and
Damien
Damon Adams, right? I met them at TNA, right?
me.
And I told him, I said, hey, man, I'm moving up that way. Like, I was just looking for a place to train, you know? And they said, oh, there's a spot in Lake Hiawatha, Gino Caruso spot. Yeah. And so they told me about it, and they train on Wednesday. So I rolled down there. They were there. So I go down every Wednesday and train with them. So I want to say the first promotion I worked for up there was for Gino, and then ended up working for Rapid Fire, Maldonado. Yeah. And then and then from there ended up with WXW.
Okay.
And so and in fact I want to say that's where I linked up with you guys was with I think my first show up there was in Allentown.
Yeah. I remember meeting you there.
And in my first night there, they put me with Slick Wagner Brown for the TV title.
Okay.
And I was just there hoping to get on. So, but yeah, man.
Oh man, this guy, hey son, you look great. I want to put you on TV.
This guy's gonna look great for TV.
I want 10%.
Son.
You know, so honestly, that relationship with Alpha and just, you know, Alpha and the whole family, like Reno and I, Junior, Rikishi, I mean, we all stay in touch.
Yeah.
But I mean, they legit treated me like family too, you know. So
yeah, they're all good, man.
Yeah, they're good people.
I just, you know, I actually Pop pulled me aside after I worked for him for a couple months, and like he showed me, he had actually sent a letter to Jim Ross saying, hey, I got a kid down here. You know, he kind of reminds me of the Road Dogg, but he's in shape because I had the braids and all that. But
yeah, the corn rolls. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, man, like it just.
Who's making your gear back then? Because you had some tight gear, bro.
So there was a guy named Kurt Solo, and he was another guy that was pretty instrumental in me just getting reps in the ring. But he was running a promotion in a town called Thomasville, and literally, probably, I mean, you can't see the size of my living room and kitchen, but it was the bottom floor of a flea market, right? And the room was so small that he could get like a row of chairs down the side of the ring. The ring sat on the back wall, and then there was enough room to put like 8 rows of chairs on the front side of the ring or the hard cam side of the ring from the entranceway. But he ran every
that one place out in where was that at? Jersey, where it was like in the fucking living room. remember that shit, dude? Like we were like, yo, this is like a fucking house. Yeah. And they had like, it was basically like the corner of the ring was in the corner of like a living room. And they had probably like 2 rows of seats on one side, maybe 3, and then like 1 row, and there was like no outside of the ring, basically.
The same pay-per-view every show in your house.
Yeah.
No, in my house.
Literally in your house.
In my house.
Yeah.
Oh shit. So yeah, go ahead, man.
Go ahead, bro. Sorry, man. I just brought back a flashback for me.
You don't have many of those.
So at the time, like I said, man, like I had already worked for TNA a couple times, moved up there, started working up there. And honestly, like when I first started training, and you know, I never, you know, you always want to succeed, right? You always go to the top.
Right.
But I also knew that I wanted to be one of those guys that was known for traveling. I didn't just want to be a North Carolina guy, you know, who just stayed in North Carolina until it popped. Like I wanted to travel. So, you know, going up there and, you know, wrestling in Connecticut, you know, all over Pennsylvania, Jersey. Like for me, I felt like that's where I had to go. Like that's where I was really going to like make a name for myself as far as proving who I was and what I was capable of with the boys.
Right.
And I felt like if I could go up there and earn people's respect, then I could pretty much hang in any market because, you know, at the time, you know, training, Ring of Honor had just popped, you know, promotions like that. And, you know, our videos
Right, right.
people tape trading and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
So I remember you telling me a story. It's like, bro, I used to watch your tapes and shit. And you guys, all you guys, and then he goes. Then when I finally met you guys, and I saw how small you. He goes, I thought you guys were bigger. He goes, I saw how small you motherfuckers were. And then he goes. After I met you guys, I got in my car and I just started. I had to laugh to myself because I couldn't believe how small you guys are.
yeah. So the first time I saw you, you were doing the deal with Homicide.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, these dudes are something, man. Like just like from start to finish, like there was no cracks in what you guys were doing. I mean, the entranceway, the dead chick or the chicken, man. I popped on all that stuff, man. And so, again, just meeting you guys, I'm like, kind of remind me. So I did security for Bun B one time from UGK.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I ever told you guys a story about that, but he gets off the bus, right? And he's walking down the steps. And Bun B, he got that voice. Like, you think that dude's like 6'5", like, I guess if I was going to put his voice on somebody, I'd put it on like somebody like Sheik, right?
Yeah.
But Sheik's a big dude, legit too.
Yeah.
And so when he gets off the bus, right, he's walking down the stairs, and as he's coming down the stairs, he's not even on the bottom step, and I'm taller than him. I'm like, oh man, you just ruined my childhood, bro. Like,
Oh, shit.
But yeah, man. So that was kind of like, seeing you guys for the first time, like, oh dang. But here's the thing though, like even after that, like the way you guys got after it, like I said, I knew that I had to go there and learn that style.
Right.
Because
the New York strong style was different from anything else.
Yeah, at the time, right?
Yeah.
And so, my mindset was if I can, and I was still coming down to North Carolina and doing stuff, but I'm like, man, if I can bring that down there, that Carolina strong style. Yeah. And, I think Kenny and I were a huge part of kind of changing the scenery a little bit as far as just going in there and making it look like a fight. So that definitely, my time up there, I wouldn't give that back for the world either.
All right, so I'm gonna fast forward a little bit, and then you go, "Hey, man, why don't you come down to North Carolina? I get you booked on some shows down there." I'm like, "All right, cool." So we go drive down, and you had all this jerky, this beef jerky, like a ton of it. It was like from a bear you guys killed because he attacked one of the horses or something like that.
Yeah. So,
so I was like, "Oh, cool. You like jerky?" I'm like, "Yeah, cool." And at the first, it was just me, you, and All Money Is Legal. That was the first trip to North Carolina. And I had the CD, the DVD player, and I remember Cash was sitting in the front. He was holding the DVD player for you, and we were watching like bum fights and all kinds of stuff, bunch of movies. And then I'm just eating the jerky, bro. I think I ate all your jerky.
And that was at a time, man, where if you didn't bring it with you, you probably wasn't going to eat because you didn't know what the payday was going to be like on the other side.
Right, but you hooked us up with Bernard Goings.
Yeah.
What was that Fed called? What was Bernard's shit called?
It was like I think by the time so the guy that Bernard ended up owning the guy that owned the ring some money.
Yeah. And
so he had all the tapes and he sold them the RF video. Okay. And I think by the time it made it, so like if you go on there, like there's a catalog on the RF video catalog. I think it's like Empty Arena Battles or something like that.
Okay.
But there wasn't anything really, there wasn't a name that stood out. And the funny thing about it is that when it first popped off, it was some of the bigger North Carolina guys, but like he would bring you in and he'd have you try on gear and he would take pictures of you in the gear and stuff like that. Right. Nothing out the way, you know what I'm saying? Like no, balls and nothing like that. I mean, it was.
But he wanted to see Louis' balls.
No, he was going to see him.
No, he did. He was like, "Hey, Boogaloo, I want to see you in these tops."
Never did it. That was the rib for a long time.
Yeah.
Hey, Boogaloo.
And what the funny thing was too is that like, after the fact, we have people telling us, man, that dude's selling them to like porn sites,
gay shit, gay porn sites.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day.
Action.
But the thing about it was, it paid. All we had to do was go and work. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you weren't doing anything.
Rental car was
you
paid
were wrestling.
For. Like he paid for a rental car or a hotel and paid us to wrestle. I was like, I'm good.
And then
you get to wrestle good people.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah!
You look at the roster: David Young, Elix Skipper, Gene came down.
Yeah, we brought Gene with us that time. We had Sonny Siaki,
Elix Skipper.
Who the fuck else? Mo.
Yeah, from Men on a Mission. You guys, Brad Attitude.
You guys, so the time Gene came down, Gene actually got signed on the way back, right?
Yeah. We were riding in the car with him.
Yeah, we're riding on the back with him, and he gets the call. He's like, "Hey, you start such and such day." He goes, "Oh my God, I just made it." I'm like, "Cool." He goes, "Let's celebrate." So he stops at Hooters, right? And we go eat at Hooters with him, right? And then he gets these. He tells the girl, he goes, "What kind of stockings you wearing?" And the girl's like, "Are those the one with
he asked her about her socks first, right? Because she remember they wear them leg warmers, and he thought those were just thick ass socks. And she's like, "Nah, they just go cut off at the ankle." So he's like, "What kind of stockings are those?"
Are those the stockings that don't have toes in them? She goes, "No, it's the full stocking." He goes, "Can I buy them all for you?" They're like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, can I buy them all for you?" I was like, "What the fuck?" So
we were like,
"What
the fuck is doing, man?"
I didn't actually find out about his foot thing until the Boston show.
I saw him put a girl's foot in his mouth, and he was like, "Yeah." I think he put a girl's foot in his mouth.
And actually, now I think about it, that was before he got signed because it was that. Yeah,
the show was before he got signed.
But and then everybody was giving him a hard time about it. But the story with the dude approached him in the bathroom about, "Hey, my wife kind of what?" He said, "I don't care. Just show me her feet."
So check this out. So homeboy, right? We leave, and the girl gave him her number.
Yeah, she was in.
So
she was in on him.
He wrote out a napkin, forgets the napkin, so he's like, "Oh, I gotta go back inside and get it." So he goes to pull out the car, and the girl comes out, and he jumps in the car, and he try to show out, and he hopped the whole fucking curb with the car, the rental car.
He tried to peel out.
You hear like sparks flying. I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude.
That was a good fucking time, man. Jim was a fun dude, man. Crazy bastard, man.
And then he went home and bought where did he go? He went home and bought a Hummer or something like that. Oh, he bought the Mercedes SUV as soon as he got to the house.
Fucking crazy.
That guy's nuts.
I had some good matches with him.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what, though.
Was cool, man.
I worked with him. I remember him laughing his ass off the day I got a concussion. When the Guapo dropped me on my head. I went to go do a run, and Guapo dropped me on my head and then rolled over me. As my head was on the mat, he just rolled over me. So my head was like...
I'm going to tell you where you fucked up right there. The fuck you doing Ronas for?
I know. But it was a three-way. It was a three-way, and then they were all bigger than me. So I was like, "Oh, he's like, don't worry, I got you, man. You got me, all right. Got me a concussion."
I worked with Gene. What was that flea market? The one that was like a horseshoe? It was like that, or that square building?
That was
You talking about Shelter, Rick's Barbecue?
Yeah.
Rick's Shelter Barbecue.
I like that place.
I like that place. And when we did the outside shows, it was cool there too.
Yeah, I did a match with Gene up there one time, and we were gonna do that little pump handle thing he does, right? Mm-hmm. But the deal was I was gonna slide down his back onto the apron. Man, that dude's so strong. Boom, pump handle. Before I can blink, I'm standing on the floor. Just standing on the floor, like I landed, right?
I thought you were gonna say I was in the third row.
But I landed how I was supposed to land, just not where I was supposed to land.
Yeah.
I just remember standing there and I asked him, probably a couple years later, what was the look on my face? He said it looked like you were praying. It looked like you were saying thank you.
How the fuck did I end up here?
You want to know something? For as big as he was, and I don't really like wrestling big dudes because they tend to be clumsy, and you can get hurt wrestling the big dude. He was light as a feather, man.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Jimmy's
Every now and then that boot though, he popped me with a boot one time down at Bernard's, and literally, and I was sitting in the buckle.
Sorry, bro.
Like, yeah. But other than that, nah. I mean, and then we did the territory league stuff together too. For Reno out in LA, we were on the same team.
Okay.
So got to spend some time with him then too. But
yeah, Jim was great.
Still keep in touch with him. Still see him every now and then. I mean,
yeah, I gotta give him a holler because that's a good dude.
I mean, he's living his best life now.
Yeah, that beard is fucking tremendous.
And
that's where Kenny dropped the M-bomb with last show talking about Gene. he said, yo, that that and then his beard is crazy. I was like, yeah, definitely.
And then he was like, oh.
Yeah,
good stuff though.
When we talked today, that was the first thing he said. Like, yo, I dropped the M-bomb. Like, I wouldn't have pictured you not. I mean, that was
no. When he told me, he's like, don't worry, man. I'm professional. I'm like, no problem.
Listen, man, it's gonna fucking happen, man.
It happens, bro.
Fucking miss hanging out with y'all, motherfuckers, man. We had some fun times, bro.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Hey, let me ask you a question, bro. Of all your travels, what was the craziest road story you got for us, man? You ain't got to drop no names if it's something,
you gotta drop names. Bro.
Hey, listen, I don't want him to incriminate anybody.
This is the Knights of the Gimmick table.
Something you done seen, something you done did.
You gotta tell a story, and then I'm gonna tell a story about me and you.
Oh shit.
So honestly, like, just because I was so focused on getting to the end result, like I didn't ride with a bunch of people. Like, I rode with Bounty, I rode with Ali, with my first tag team partner, the guy I broke in with at the ring time and trained with CW. Rode with you guys, and I rode with Lodi. But other than that, like, I just wasn't big on riding with people. Right. Just because, again, it just always felt like, I was responsible for getting myself there, and I had business to do. I didn't hang out a lot. I spent more time with you guys, Bounty, guys that I had actual relationships with, rather than just going out and hanging out with the boys. But if I was going to break that, just for the sheer amount of grind we put in, the road trip where you guys came and got me in New York, we drove to North Carolina. We did some stuff with Bernard. We did another show
with Caprice.
With Caprice.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think we did one other spot.
Yeah.
And then we drove from there. We drove to Connecticut.
And yeah, we wrestled that weekend. I think I wrestled 10 times in 3 days.
Yeah. But like, just stories on the actual road, I think that was probably like, just because, one, it was fun.
Yeah, we have a good time.
But other than that, like I said, man, most of the other stuff was just like real world shenanigans.
I got hot with Chaos on that trip because we stopped to get something to eat, and he's like, oh, I'm like, bro, you got paid. Get yourself something to eat. He was expecting me to buy him something. I said, bro, I'm not your daddy, man. You gotta get yourself something to eat. He's like, bro, we got paid the same thing. Get yourself something to eat.
So one of the funniest things I remember, and I don't know if he was joking when he said it, but Chung told a story about the bathroom. Like, he hit up a bathroom. Like, he said he hit everything in there.
Oh, fuck yeah, bro. I used to do that shit every time, bro.
What'd you say?
When I would go when we go pee, I go open the fucking door, and I just piss everywhere, bro. I'd start at the toilet. I'll fucking piss all over the fucking floor. When I would go out, I ain't give a fuck.
You fucking animal, dude.
Yeah, I ain't give a fuck, bro. I ain't know no fucking better. I was an animal.
Where?
I pissed from the fucking toilet. I piss on the sink. I piss on the fucking knobs of the sink.
Yeah, you fucked up, dude.
When motherfuckers went in, they were like, "What the fuck, man?" Especially if somebody had to shit.
Man, you do that today.
Yeah, that's a dick.
You be on a terrorist list. Back then, it was one of the funniest stories I ever heard. And the way he told it too, like, yeah, man, I hit the bathroom up. I pissed on everything.
That was I remember we were going to where the fuck we went to the beach one day, and that was actually when I took Dad's truck. And we went to Howard Beach, and we were fucking going, we were out wilding the fuck out. And I was like, fuck it. Yeah, I'm gonna go. We stopped at this little Haji store and shit. And I'm like, yo, I gotta piss. Everybody's like, yo, me too. We were probably like 12 deep, you know what I'm saying? Like everybody with different car, everybody in their own cars and shit. And I'm like, everybody's got piss behind me. Fuck it. I'm gonna fuck this whole bathroom up, bro. Bro, I pissed everywhere in that bitch. Fucking, I think Bobo went in after me. He's like, yo, what the fuck?
You know what? Going back and thinking about it, I think that was the funny part about it is you didn't do it for strangers. Like you actually,
I ain't give a fuck. Well, I would have did it for the strangers anyway, but I want to say the main reason why I started doing that shit was because a lot of the time when you would try to hit the bathroom, these dudes that ran the fucking stores and shit, they wanted to act like nah, I ain't letting you use my bathroom. I'm like, motherfucker, I'm buying shit.
Gotta buy something.
Yeah, I'm like, bitch, I just bought something. Like, all right, man, I got you. Give me the fucking key. I got you. Whang everywhere, bro. Then I'm gonna piss on the doorknob as I'm fucking walking out. Fuck it. That was the old me, man. I'm a new man now. You know what I'm saying? Responsible.
I only pissed in one sink in my whole life. That was the movie theater in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. We went to go see Saving Private Ryan, but we were drinking the whole time before. And I'm in there. I go to the bathroom, and I'm in the bathroom, and I'm peeing, and some chick walks in, and I'm like, oh shit! So I'm like, hey, what's up? And she goes, you know, you're in the women's bathroom. And I look down. I thought I was peeing in the urinal. I'm pissing in the sink. I was like, oh. But hey, Scott, this is a story about me and you, right? So we just wrestled in North Carolina, and you were bouncing at the time. Can I go ahead and tell this story?
Go ahead, man.
Oh, you want to tell?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So we were bouncing at the time. He goes, yo, we gotta go bouncing at this club. He goes, yo, they play good music. If you wanna come. I was like, yeah, fuck it, man. I don't want to be in the hotel room all night. Yeah, I'll go with you. So we're driving, right? And I had like a big gallon of water, and I'm sitting there. And we just finished wrestling, and I was like, fuck, I was tired. So I'm sitting there, taking a nap. And next thing I know, we're in a checkpoint, a police checkpoint. So they stop in every car, and Scott's like, Scott don't give a fuck, right? He's like, whatever. So when they get to us, they're like, hey, what's going on? How you guys doing? He flashed the flashlight on us. When he flashed the flashlight on us, I look where the flashlight went, and it hit the floor of the car. And when I looked at the floor of the car, I see like a whole Scott used to like to partake in the Buddha, right? He's like smoking marijuana back then. So he had like weed seeds all on the floor of the car. Bro, it was covered. And I looked down when the light hit it, and I was like, fuck, man. He goes, hey guys, do me a favor, just pull over right there. And I go, Scott, I said, he just saw all those weed seeds on the floor of the car. And he goes, and he's not gonna think we're eating bagels and shit. God's like, just be cool. So they pull us over. They take all our bags out the car, all our wrestling stuff. They start going through our shit, and they're like, Like, where the hell? And he goes, yeah, we're wrestlers and stuff. Like, yeah, okay, yeah, we see your gear and stuff. Like, where the hell you guys going? Scott tells him, yeah, I'm bouncing at this club. He goes, oh, that's why we got this checkpoint. Supposedly, these jackass gang, the black T-shirt gang and the white T-shirt gang made flyers. They're gonna have a fight tonight. So we were like, what? Like, yeah, just be on the lookout for it. I was like, they were like, okay, they let us go.
So going back to the weed though, the funny thing about that is like he kept asking me, he's like, you got anything in the car? He said, if you got a roach, it'll just be a ticket, blah blah blah. I'm like, I'm good, I ain't got nothing, right? What you see is what you get. And I actually gave some stuff to was it Stryker? I want to say it was Matt Stryker.
Yeah, it was.
Eyebrow Stryker, not the Ohio Matt Stryker.
Yeah.
And
unibrow.
So
not eyebrow, it's eyebrow.
I gave him what I had, right? So all that was in the car was the seeds. And so, I mean, that's why I told him, I was like, just be cool, man. We'll be good. But he kept saying, if you got anything in here, man, it'll just be a ticket, but you got to tell me, you got to be honest. I'm like, I'm good. I gave the stuff to the guy.
So then Scott told me, he goes, man, I'm so sorry I put you in that. He goes, don't worry, man, I'm not gonna smoke weed no more. We're done. I'm done. He goes, I'm done. I'm so sorry I put you in that. I said, man, it's cool. So we go to the club and we hit the club, and I've never seen no bullshit like this at this club, These motherfuckers, bouncers, are walking around with AR-15s and fucking handguns and shit. I was like, what the fuck? He goes, yeah, man, that's how we get down here. I was like, yo, this is fucking crazy. So then we leave. As we're leaving the club, Scott's like, hold on 1 second. Goes buys an ounce of weed. I was like, so much for never putting me in that situation again.
I'm gonna just put it in my shoe, man. We'll be straight. So you know the funny thing about that, so it like no excuse, like I own it all day. But at the time, because I was dieting so hard to maintain that, like I got to the point, like legitimately, the only way I could eat is if I smoked. Like I had no appetite. I mean, I was trying to look like a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
You know,
shit, you look like a bodybuilder.
The fucking action figure.
Yeah.
But at the time it was, again, that's what they were looking for. So like I did everything I possibly could. I mean, when I realized that, like I started getting mad, like I had to cook some chicken breast and I'd just be like, well, I just won't eat then. So I just got to a point where food just bothered me so much. And I actually have a friend that he competed a couple pro level shows and stuff like that. I asked him, I said, man, like, how do you eat? Like when your diet gets off track, when you start getting frustrated with food and all that, he said, get all the junk out your house, roll up something, fire up, eat some real food, and you'll be fine. And so for me, it was never about like getting high or anything like that. It was literally just like, in order for me to be able to eat the way I was supposed to eat, I couldn't eat without smoking.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I knew you smoked, but I'd never seen you smoke.
That's the thing,
because you didn't do it like that.
Yeah, and that for me, it was like, this is why I'm doing it. I did get to experience some of the after effects of it, but that wasn't my intent behind it. Like it was never like, and again, it's just one of those things, man. Like you look at where we're at in the state of the world now. It won't be long before it's legal everywhere. So,
yeah, for real. So, so after all this stuff, right? You went and started teaming with Lodi.
No, you had a lot. Right? No, but he had a lot of dark matches with WWE.
Yeah,
he definitely did. I remember that.
The ankle challenge. Yeah.
The funny thing about it is that like I had rode down to Charleston with you talk about crazy road stories. Shannon Moore, I rode down with Shannon. Shannon called me like, "Hey, I want you to ride down." Cool, man. Cool. I want you to ride down to the show with me. So we rode down
here with us.
Say what?
He lives down here with us, Shannon.
Oh yeah. That's right. He did move down there. I think he's got a shop up here still though. because he closed the one he had and then he opened up another tattoo shop.
Okay.
But he's
cool as fuck, dude.
Yeah, he's in a good spot now, man. But at the time, he calls me. He's like, "Hey, I want you to ride down the show with me." On the way to the house show on a Sunday night, we get in a wreck. The big car pile up on a bridge. There was people rubbernecking. So, like, literally slammed on the brake. We're driving a Hummer too, and the car in front of us was small enough that if we had hit it square on, we'd have pushed it off the bridge, and we probably would have followed after it. So, we locked up the brakes. He started dipping towards the inside, so he wasn't like going off towards the rail or anything like that. Car behind us hit us. There was like 8 or 10 cars. And so by the time we got cleared from the accident scene, we went ahead, rolled down. He did the show. He took me backstage. So that night was the first WWE venue that I'd been in. And then, or the first WWE show I'd ever been to, because I'd always gone to like indie stuff.
Oh shit!
Fact,
so you never had even been to a live event?
Nah. In fact, the first wrestling show I went to, live wrestling show I went to, was 1-800 Wrestle Slam. It was a tour that was going around to all the military bases, and I was stationed at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Now I've been watching NWA Music City, so that's when Shannon and Shane Helms were doing like the Backstreet Boy gimmick they were doing.
The 3 count?
No, it was before 3 count. But it was something similar, right? I'd been watching those guys. So, when I found out I was coming to North Carolina, I was still in the Army. I'm like, I'm going to the right spot. If I'm going to break in.
Yeah, North Carolina's a great wrestler, man.
This is the place to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the first show that I went to was Rikishi was there. He was doing the Sultan gimmick at the time before he gave it to Umaga. Chris Daniels was there. Toad, the guy I was telling you about, he was on that show. And so it's kind of cool, though, again, that first live event I ever went to, like, I ended up being great friends with guys that were on that show. Yeah. So it was, definitely a cool experience. But like I said, I used to sneak to watch wrestling when I was a kid. So, there wasn't no going to live shows as a kid just because, I had to sneak to watch it anyways.
Yeah, you lived in the town that was like that movie Footloose, right? It might as well been. It might as well have been. Wrestling's the devil. And don't.
But yeah. So that again, that first night I rode down with Shannon, met Chavo. Chavo was probably one of the coolest. Like
Chavo's awesome.
Like legit, like real good people. And he gave me a hard time. He was like, "Who you here with?" I told him Shannon. He was like, "Well, you can't be here. Like, if you were Shannon, you could have told me anybody else on this roster. If you rode with Shannon Moore, you can't be here. You got to go stand over there." So he gave me a hard time, right? And didn't think anything of it. I met Fit, met a couple other people. Obviously, Shannon introduced me. He did his match. Got in the car. We drove back. Of course, we get back like crack of dawn. I got to go to work. I'm doing landscape and irrigation too at the time. So I get up, go to work, whatever. I get a call about like 4 o'clock. We were just getting ready to get done on a job site. And it's Shannon. He was like, "How soon can you be to Raleigh?" I'm like, I just got off work. He's like, "How soon can you get to Raleigh?" I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "You're wrestling Kurt Angle tonight." Oh, I'm like, I thought he was ribbing me, right? Like, I straight up thought it was a rib. So he's like, "No, I'm serious. Like, as soon as you get to the house, get your stuff. Let's go." Cool thing was my gear bag was packed already.
Always, you gotta be.
And one of the guys that my roommate at the time was friends with, who knew Shannon actually got them some tickets, and he just happened to be at the house, right? Yeah. I looked, and so he's in my drive. I said, "Look, like, I know you're going to the show tonight. Give me 10 minutes, maybe 5. I got to take a shower. He said, but I told him, I said, but I'm wrestling tonight. And if I try and drive to Raleigh, I'll probably kill myself because it's going to be all gas. Yeah. And so he drove me. We did like 85, 90 all the way to Raleigh. I got there, went in the front door of the venue. It's a house show, right? Live event. Went in through the front door because I didn't know where else to go. Yeah. And like walked in the front door carrying my gimmick bag. The people told me where I needed to go, whatever. Got in the back, sat down, talked to Kurt. And it was just supposed to be that one shot. Well, after the match, Fit came up and said, I need you to be in Richmond tomorrow. I'm like, oh, here we go. So then the next night, it was, that was literally 2 nights back to back, worked both nights.
You worked Kurt both nights?
No, I worked Kurt on the Monday night, and then I ended up working Phil Brown, a guy from Virginia, on the second night. And it was a straight up dark match for, I think it would have been a SmackDown taping at the time. Yeah. But it was cool because literally my first experience inside of the WWE locker room, actually in the locker room, dressed down. It's a smaller venue, obviously, but I'm sitting watching a TV screen, Undertaker, Eddie Guerrero, Horseshoe was there at the time.
And he's awesome.
And just to sit, and they treated me like I was one of the boys. Like they treated me like they were telling stories. It was probably, again, just looking at it, like, how is that me sitting in that room,
It's cool as fuck.
Yeah.
And then, like the next night in Richmond doing the same thing. And, by the second night, we're old friends,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, definitely a crazy time. Oh, hold on. I'm going to throw one other road story in there for you.
All right.
Please do.
So, this was when we were working at that promotion in Raleigh, the SCW, Southern Championship Wrestling. Me and my boy were riding together, the guy I broke in with. Mm-hmm. And his car broke down on the interstate, right? And we were maybe a mile and a half from an exit. And so he pulls off the side of the road. We're going to walk because at the time we were too broke. We didn't have phones, nothing. So we walked to the gas station or whatever, make some phone calls and stuff like that. He's like, yo, we just go sleep back. We'll sleep in the car. I'm like, nah, bro, we ain't sleeping on the car on the side of the interstate. So we ended up getting a little motel right there at the exit. Yeah. And the next morning we were going to walk back to the car because he had somebody coming from his job that was going to give us a ride back to Fayetteville. Well, we get back to where the car was. The car is gone. Like gone. Oh, shit. Like gone, right? All of our gear's in it. And he had his
leave your gear, bro. That's the most important thing. Fuck the car, the gear.
Again, we were thinking it's going to be there in the morning when we go back. Yeah. It just didn't seem like a good idea to sleep in a car, right?
Yeah.
So we get back, car's gone, whatever. It took us a week to find the car. Come to find out, what happened was no joke. There was a little Chevy S10 Blazer, right?
I love S10s.
There were 10 migrant workers, no driver's license, drunk, riding in this S10, speeding down the interstate, slammed into the back of the car. When we finally talked to the police officer that actually did the reports and stuff, he showed us he had pushed the car down the ditch up into the woods, right?
Oh shit!
And literally, the guy from the junkyard had to cut the trunk open for us just so we could get our gear back. Yeah.
No, that's a fucking road story.
Yeah, bro, you could have been killed if you had.
Lee, imagine if y'all would have still been in there.
Yeah, I mean that was probably like the two road stories that come to mind the most, just because again, it was about the people I was with, and again, the situation at hand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, definitely.
So Good, Chunk.
No, I was that's a crazy ass story though, man.
Yeah,
Like I remember that's like I remember we were on our way to Jersey one time and we got into a wreck like that and Louis pushed somebody's trunk into their back seat.
mm-hmm.
I was in the car right next to him. I had a broken foot at the time. And I was like, oh shit. Damn. And then the one dude's like, yo, I gotta get my bag. I gotta go. Damien.
left dude on the side of the road.
Left buddy with his fucking trunk in his back seat.
He got his shit out the car somehow. And
I don't know how the fuck he got his bag out. He's like, yo, we got a show. I gotta go. I'm out. Left buddy. Buddy was like, fuck.
You know, Kevin Matthews. You know how that guy, Kevin Matthews.
Oh, what's up with him?
So I remember he'd tell us. I think he was one of those guys. He liked the name drop, right?
Yeah.
He said something one time. In fact, he got booked for Bernard a couple times.
Okay.
Right, and him and I kind of had like this. We didn't get along too well.
Why? Because y'all were both Matthews.
Yeah, and he said something about it, like, and I said, "That's cool. What's your real last name?" And he was like, "Don't matter. I made more money with Matthews in my last name than you'll ever make." Like, all right, cool, bro. Was it? But you want to change my birth certificate? I'll change my gimmick. And that was pretty much it. But man, that dude, he told a story one time. Like I said, he one of the cats that like the name drop.
Yeah.
And I think he was talking about he was riding with Low Key. I think maybe man, I don't even remember who else was with him. But he said they ran out of gas like in the middle of George Washington. Right? And that was it. That was the story. Like I was riding with Low Key one time and ran out of gas in the middle of George Washington Bridge.
Yeah.
What's the rest of the story, man?
How you get on the bridge with no gas? That's just nuts.
Well, knowing here, he was probably driving. And Low Key was just riding with him.
Yeah, Low Key ain't driving nowhere.
You know, those cats used to like to play that hey, we're getting close to a toll.
Everybody falling asleep. Nobody hey, I need gas. Everybody asleep.
Yeah, when you need gas or toll money, everybody will sleep.
That's like riding with Caprice. We used to ride down the wild side with him. And Caprice, he'd be like, I'll drive first, right? He drove for 30 minutes, right? I'm sitting shotgun because I'm driving next, right? He looks over at me and goes, bro, I'm getting tired. What you been driving for 30 minutes?
Bro, you ain't got the driveway.
Like, all right, man. So I'm like, you know what? I'm driving back the rest of the way. I'm gonna show these clowns. So I drove all the rest of the way back. He woke up, rested, like, good drive, any problem? Like, nah, man, you was asleep the whole time. But yeah, man.
Caprice is a good dude, man. I like Caprice.
Yeah, he hit me up. He actually hit me up yesterday, man.
How's he doing?
Good, real good. He's back wrestling indie shows again.
Okay.
I think his deal with Ring of Honor, he was exclusive for a while, but I think once he started doing just the commentating stuff, they loosened up on his restrictions a little bit. So he looks like he's 22.
Is he still doing the minister thing?
Yeah.
Awesome. Good dude, man. Great dude.
Yeah, him and I actually got me hooked up. We're going down to Texas for the Christian Wrestling Federation. Me, him, and Lodi. So yeah, we used to do a lot of that stuff together.
You still do? You gonna do it again, or?
Well, they still do it. I mean, the promotion's still running. But I'm
so you're officially done. You ain't ever gonna come back, or if somebody makes you a good offer, you willing to come back?
Well,
you had a bad accident though.
Yeah, but that was like 5 years ago.
Yeah,
no, actually, no. I take that back because next week will be the 6-year anniversary of the accident.
Yeah, that was a bad accident.
But
on a bicycle.
Yeah.
Bicycle?
Yeah, man. So
no shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know which one to go into first. We're talking about being done with wrestling.
No, you're talking about the bicycle when the seat fell off and you hurt yourself.
The fuck? Was this one of those fucking videos? Did you like take the bike and the shit was cut in half or something?
No. It's legit. You did get hurt.
Oh, okay.
So we were talking about kind of doing some of the ministry related wrestling stuff, and I went down to Georgia and stayed down in Georgia, and while I was down there, I had some time to kind of like have the aha moment where I realized that the world was a lot bigger than me, and I don't ever think that I carried myself like I'm the biggest man in the room, or I'm this or I'm that, but everybody has a humbling moment at some point, you know what I mean? So like, for some people it's I'm the greatest man alive and they get struck by lightning, or, again, you could be on your grind just trying to make it and stuff happens. But so anyways, I wrestled in Forest, Mississippi on a Saturday night, and it was actually a church event. It was an outreach. And when they booked me for the show, they asked if I would speak at the end of the show. And so went, wrestled, spoke after the match, drove back. And then like 2 days later, I'm in the hospital, not knowing which way is up and which way is down. But so basically what happened was I was riding my bike back and forth to work every day. I was working at a gym on the military base, and just to get some extra cardio because, still trying to keep that young man look going. And so I'm riding my bike back and forth to work every day. I'm leaving the gym for the night on my way home, and I got maybe like a half a block from the gym, and I'm going through an intersection, and I'm on the pedals, right? And there's a van in the center lane. He waves me through, like, go ahead, come on. And the light changed, and there's a dude coming around the corner. He couldn't see the guy. I couldn't see him. So as soon as I came across the front of the van, I see black and silver. I'm like, oh, that's a car. And so my instinct was, okay, it's not in front, or it's not going to hit me. I'm going to hit it for the most part, just because it was literally like I'm.
Yeah.
So
you were going to T-bone it.
Yeah. So front tire, I see the front tire and the fender. I'm like, okay. So I flip myself up over the handlebars onto the hood of the car, right? Thinking I'll be good, right?
I know how to take bumps.
Train professional, right? That was my first thing. Like, get away from the bike, right? Try and land as flat as possible. We'll sort the rest out after it's done. Yeah. And the next second, again, I have no idea how long it took, but in the next second, I'm laying on the ground looking up, and I look right and I look left, and I see my bike is destroyed. I look at the car. The windshield's busted. The hood of the car is trapped. I mean, it was done.
Man, you're not a small dude,
And so I tried to stand up, and my right leg wasn't moving, and it just kind of felt like it was hanging there. So I laid back down for a second. I said, God, if you're not going to do something with this, just let me get up now. We got work to do. And again, that you get to that point where you start listening to things around you. It's plain as day. Just lay there. I got you. So I laid back down, and the car that I landed from in front of in the oncoming traffic, he gets out. He runs over to me, and by this time I know there's something wrong with the leg. And so he's checking on me. I was like, tie my legs together. Like, I don't care what, just tie my legs together. And so he started working on. There's a hospital like 2 minutes away. Ambulance gets there. They're putting me on the board, all that stuff. They can't take me to the hospital on the base because the trauma center is only a level 2. Yeah. And because at the time, like, it's all internal stuff. They don't know what's wrong.
Yeah.
And I can hear the ambulance driver. They're betting. I bet it's his pelvis, blah, blah, blah. Bet it's his hip. I mean, they're taking bets on what it is. I still have no clue. All I know is it feels like something stabbing me from the inside, trying to come out. Felt like maybe I was giving birth to an alien or something. I don't know. Anyway, get to Cape Fear, the hospital here in town, and they take me back into a room, and laying there, X-rays start, family comes in. They let my kids come in actually in the emergency room, and I didn't know at the time, but they were, my youngest two were young enough. They were at the age where unless it's like they think you're gonna die, they're not gonna let the kids come see you. Right. My kids came in to the room, and I'm just having a regular conversation. Like, I'm gonna be all right. We're gonna get through this, right? Not knowing they brought my kids in because they thought that was the last time my kids were gonna see me.
Oh shit!
And so, a couple more hours go by. I'm still there. So finally, they come in. They're like, "Okay, we got to get you to Chapel Hill. That's UNC, right?"
Yeah.
And so, like, the only problem is that the life flight helicopter's out. We got to get you there really fast. Because the helicopter's out, we're going to put you in an ambulance. They strapped me in I was still on the backboard, strapped me in 110 miles an hour all the way to Chapel Hill. Get there. By the time I get there, they start doing more x-rays, figuring everything out. And about 5 o'clock that morning, now here's the thing, they still hadn't cleared my brain or my spine. And because until they clear your brain and your spine, they don't give you any pain pills or anything, no medication whatsoever. And so about 5:45 that next morning, they roll in like, hey, in fact, they were actually putting a traction in my leg to pull my leg back down so they could reset my pelvis. So in the process of them doing the traction, where they had to drill through my femur and then drop the weights on the little rig that they got, the doctor's like, y'all need to hurry up with that. We need to get him in the ER quick. My bladder was punctured.
Oh shit!
Whole nine, whatever. So they did the procedure. Everything straight. Doctor comes into the recovery room. Hey, I put you back together. Not as good as new, but you're back together. And so I did what I could. Funny story about it is that Kenny and I had wrestled on a show a couple years prior, and I'd hurt my hip because CW and I had words because I did a super kick in the match, and he got hot at me about doing the super kick because he was going to do it in his match.
Yeah. And
so, I was ready to fight, right? And like literally, I was looking for him. Like, all right, I just lost my cool, right?
Yeah.
And I had a jug of water, and I remember throwing the jug of water, but when I threw the jug, I felt my hip pop, right? And I didn't think anything of it, but it hurt, right? It hurt bad enough to be like, oh, this ain't good. So I just worked with it over, for the next couple of years or whatever. But when the doctor did the procedure, he said, oh, by the way, I fixed your hip too. It looked like he had an old injury. So legit, if I hadn't broke my pelvis, like who knows how long it had been before I'd have done something about my hip, but he fixed my hip too. Okay. But the one thing he said was, he goes, hey, so I put you back together. He said, but if you walk again, it's going to take you at least a year.
Holy shit.
And he said, and there's absolutely no way, shape, or form that you're ever going to be able to get in a wrestling ring again. And I said, a year? And if I'm able to walk again, all I could say was, how much of a head start you got, Doc? Right? Because I'm not laying down for a year. He said, well, you can't do anything for 3 months. So I spent 3 months on my back. Lodi took me down to his spot in Charlotte, moved the bed down in the living room for me. And so I spent that first 3 months on my back, just, waiting. And I had a follow-up appointment at my 3-month checkpoint. They do a rock test where they make you, all right, on your bad leg or your good leg, you're stepping on a rock, you got to pick it up. So I did it. I was able to balance myself, and he's like, all right, held out his hands, take a couple steps forward, took a couple steps. All right, you can work on walking again. And so I rode the wheelchair for a couple more days, rode the crutches. But my thing was, I just spent 3 months without working. Like I was like, man, as soon as I can start using my crutches, wheelchair, something, I got to go back to work. And so I was using the crutches just to kind of like make sure that I wasn't doing too much. But I remember the first day I walked into the gym to go back to work. I'm walking in, this old head. I mean, she was in the gym all the time. And she looked at me, she said, "What are you doing with them crutches?" I said, "Well, you're going to tell me about your accident, right? I already know about your accident. I wrote on your get well soon card. How long are you going to be on them crutches?" "Well, doctor says I can try and, work on walking and stuff like that. I'm just trying to make sure I'm not pushing it." She goes, "I'll give you 3 days." She looked at me, "You got 3 days." So I'm like, all right, bet. It's a challenge, right? And at that point, it's like, hey, one challenge after the next. Let's see where we go with it. So I got home that night. I'm like, I'm not waiting 3 days. I put the crutches down, walked down my hallway. I'm like, all right, here we go. And that was it. But I think honestly, one of the saving graces in that situation was the amount, once they started giving me the pills and the morphine drip and stuff like that. I mean, the amount that they had me on was enough to probably put a small child down. And so my prescription was so heavy that the first 2 weeks after I got out of the hospital, I noticed I started watching the clock. Like I'm waiting for the next time to take the pills. Yeah. And then I realized I'm like, man, I gotta stop, because if I keep going down this hole, like, they ain't no coming back from it. Yeah. And so I just, all right, if I'm gonna take one instead of the regular dose, and if I gotta chew on a pillow until midnight, then, and so I set it. I'm like, all right, I'm not taking one for 12 hours, right? Waited till midnight, took the next dose. The next day, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna wait another hour, right? And so I just kept putting it an hour off. Until finally I was like, I'm just completely done, where I got to where I was taking them like one every other day. Yeah. And just dealing with it. And I really feel like if I'd have stayed on the pills, that it would have taken longer for me to get back on my feet. And then just knowing, you look at all of our brothers that we've lost, right? Like what kind of rabbit hole that turns into. So again, had I let myself go down that hole, like, there's no telling how long that recovery, or if there would have ever been a recovery process. True. So all in all, the doctor told me, again, you'd never wrestle again. I did my 6-month checkup, and I'd actually started training again. I showed him a video of my training, and he was like, all right. He did another bone scan. He said, your bone scan showed up, your bone density's improved. If you want to try wrestling again, like, don't say I didn't warn you, but you can go back to your crazy life. So I waited a couple more months, but I did my first match 8 months after the accident. And truth be told, like, I still have some issues with some nerve damage in my foot, but I got a plate in the front holding me together and 2 screws going through my SI joint in the back. Damn. I had complete right side separation, like right at my tailbone, where the SI joint and the hip, the pelvis come together, and then in the front where that popped open too. So, anyways, like I said, this week will be 6 years ago.
Wow, that's crazy, man. That's scary as fuck. As a avid bike rider, that shit. Nothing makes me more nervous than sometimes when I'm riding in the street and motherfuckers just ain't. I just think about somebody not paying attention,
Yeah.
Because everybody's on their damn phones, and it's like, fuck, I just really don't want to get hit. So I'll throw the bike on top of the car and get to a trail, rather than try and ride the street because of that.
In Fayetteville too, I mean, it's crazy. Like, we got soldiers that are stationed here. They go deploy to a combat zone, catching bodies, IEDs, the whole nine, and then come back home, get on that motorcycle, done. There's a lot of, again, bicycles and motorcycles. It's not the safest thing to be on the street, that's for sure.
Definitely, bro.
But it just goes, these cell phones, man.
Yeah, people, I see it all the time, man. Sometimes when I'm driving, I'm like, Man, this dude's swerving all in the goddamn bike lane, man. Get off your phone. Just because, I'm used to just seeing, I'm thinking about me in that bike lane and like, fuck, I don't want to get hit. That's scary as hell though, man. Like I had some clown blow through a stop sign and I almost basically T-boned him. I had to lay my bike down and ate shit, fuck my finger up, but luckily it wasn't that bad. But golly, man, that's scary as hell to be in that situation.
Yeah, man. So what you got going on now, Scott? We're getting close to wrapping it up now. Where we at now these days?
So again, kind of like you alluded to, I haven't made any kind of official announcement. I just kind of like rode off into the sunset.
Yeah, you're not retired because wrestlers don't retire.
And so you asked me what it was going to take. I did actually film an episode of The Righteous Gemstones a couple weeks ago. Did a wrestling scene. Awesome payday, by the way.
That's that show with Danny McBride.
Yeah.
Kenny fucking Powers. That dude's awesome, man.
So I did that. That was my first time back in the ring, in over a year because of the whole COVID stuff. Mm-hmm. But truthfully, like, only thing that would really get me to like be like, all right, I'm going to do that show, if it was a Man Up reunion.
Oh shit!
Just chill out because it might be in the works.
But again, Bounty, you guys.
Hey Mel, hey, we got to get Cash out that fucking witness protection, man. Cash is
MIA.
That dude's washed up right now.
Cash is MIA.
He's washed up like some old ass draws right now.
And Chaos is in China, so I don't think Chaos will be making it.
Well, Chaos once they lift the COVID restrictions, he may be allowed back.
He's stuck in China?
Bro, he's living there, man. He's got himself a girl there. He's loving it there, man.
Is he wrestling and stuff?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, he's wrestling over in China.
First black, I can't remember what the title is, but he's the first black Chinese champion. You know what I'm saying?
He's the first black wrestler in China too.
Get out of here.
Yeah, I remember him seeing some of his stuff. Like he blew up, man.
Yeah, man, he's doing good, man. He's doing really good. He's loving it.
What's that?
You're talking about his size? He blew up.
Well, that too, but he was. I started seeing him all over the place. I mean, he had some steam behind him.
Yeah, he's doing good, man. He did Japan and then he went to China and stayed there, man. He met some girl there and he's loving it. Mm-hmm. Good for him.
I think that's what I think it was the Japan stuff that I saw.
Yeah,
and
0-1.
Okay. That was where they were at 0-1.
Yep.
But
yeah, man.
So hopefully we'll have him on soon, man. But yeah, that'll be awesome, man. If we can get a nice little Man Up reunion.
That's what I was talking Mega about.
But I mean, again, at the end of the day, even if it didn't have anything to do with wrestling, it was just getting together with you guys. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely, bro.
Well, Kenny said he's coming out when November.
December. He said in December he'll be coming down to Florida.
What's up with Kenny?
He's coming down. He's trying to go fishing. That's why he's coming down there.
He's
staying in the resorts.
No, he loves fishing.
Fishing.
There's good fishing out here.
Yeah, there's a lot of these dudes go fishing.
I tell you what, I got a secret spot where you guys can fish at.
Yeah, I'm down, man. We'll go play some golf.
Yeah,
man.
Listen, I don't play golf. I go to the range though. I'll go fucking.
Bro.
I'll go hit the golf range, but I ain't.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the other range.
The shooting range? No, I can do that too, bro.
We can go do that. We can't take Kenny, but we can go.
Cold blooded.
Hey, man, that's my blood right there, man.
Yeah, man, I miss the hell out you guys, man. I would love to be able to hang out, just catch up on old times. You know what I'm saying? Even if we just jump on a little not even a podcast, just jump on a little video call just to catch up. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
We got to do something, just to keep in touch, man. You don't realize how long you don't get to talk to people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
Sometimes it's like, God damn, like you look and you're like, shit, I haven't talked to Scottie in fucking years now.
Word.
I was seeing you all the time on Facebook and shit, but it's just like, you just kind of fall off,
Yeah. And, again, like, it's just one of those things, man. Like, none of us are getting any younger.
You never know, right?
Yeah. But,
like, except for Kenny. Kenny still looks fucking young, man.
Yeah, man. He changed his hair up. I'm gonna get him down to Fayetteville here in the next couple of weeks. Take him to we got a semi-pro, or not a semi-pro, but a minor league team down here. They're the farm team for the Astros.
Okay.
And I'm trying to get him down for a game. Check to see if he got hair plugs.
Man. But yeah, bro. We're gonna wrap it up, man. And if you don't mind staying on for a couple minutes, man, I'd love to keep talking. You know what I'm saying? But we got to wrap it up so this way, the network don't cancel us.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna shoot you out into that green room area, and I'll hit you back. We'll be right there in a minute. We're just gonna give a shout out to our sponsors. Scottie, thank you for being on the show. We do appreciate you. Thanks for the stories and everything. And anywhere, do you want to give your social media or anything like that? Just in case if anybody's interested in trying to reach out to start this Man Up reunion.
Train.
Scottie Matthews on Facebook. I don't really mess with Twitter anymore. I think it's like Scottie44 Matthews on Instagram. Once I came off the road, man, like Twitter just kind of went away. Like,
it's understandable.
But
I ain't even do anything with that shit until we started this podcast. So,
but I'm still pretty active on Facebook. Obviously, I do a ton of gym promotion on there.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, I'm down. All
right.
Definitely, bro. All right, man. Well, thank you for coming on, and we're gonna wrap it up. So, shout out to where is it? Come on, goddamn it. My bad. Wrong click, man. Wrong click. My bad. Shout out to hellvape.com. Thank you. Make sure y'all use our code MWA Pod. Get your healthy vaping alternatives, and it's good stuff. So it'll be a do it.
Sleeves. Hey, go join Sleeves. You get up in there. You get 10% discount as well with the promo code MWA Pod. They got everything you need for sports: compression pants, compression shorts, dirty boxers, arm sleeves, knee sleeves, everything. Get on it.
Yeah.
Also, give a shout out to the rest of our roster on MWA. You want to go?
Yeah. We have Shooting the Shit Uncensored with Pierce Austin and
Killing the Business. Angel Medina, the Kingpin, King Mega, and Glenn Crisco Kid Sexton.
And Get Funked with Alan Kwee Funk.
And we also got our show, Nights at the Gimmicks Table, which you saw tonight. You can only catch this on the Realm Network, so make sure
those shows are
Realm, and they'll
exclusive
to
on the Realm Network. Then you get your first looks on that. And if you want to check us out, we also have Wrestling with Sports on Tuesday nights at 8:00. On Twitch and YouTube. And there's NXT wrap up with Pearson, Glenn. I think they do that. What day do they do that? Monday? I think so. And then the Funkin' Kingpin show with Alan Funk and Kingpin Angel.
Yeah, just look out for those shows.
Yeah, guys, follow us on the follow us down there. You know Twitch. What I'm saying? Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram,
Facebook, all that.
Yeah. But thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you to Scottie.
Yeah,
we do
Scott.
appreciate you, and we'll see y'all soon.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Peace.